How's it going? Welcome back, my beautiful sinners, to another amazing video here on The Savior Show. That's right, guys, the best show in all of the galaxy and broadcasting to you for free, and the amazing show that is The Savior Show, keeping us all informed, keeping us all entertained and nice and warm and trendy. That's right, guys, because we are the official trendy group. And welcome back, my OG sinners. Now, huge news before I start is, if you support me, make sure to check out my new merchandise, which I have now created, so you can get yourself an OG hoodie, which would be so cool. And guys, huge news is I've now been partnered with one of the best gaming companies ever, and I'm now a Razer streamer, I guess. And if you want to support me and help small independent creators who, don't get paid by YouTube at all, and we don't have high view counts, it would mean so much to me if you would go and buy one of these amazing Razer products, because they make the best stuff in all of gaming, in all of the gaming industry. Stuff like headphones, gaming laptops. They make, some amazing audio headsets for gaming and for music making. So please go into the links below and buy one of their products, and you will get a nice savior code to go along with that, and that would mean so much to me, and I'm really thankful for Razer. It's just a nice big step for me and my journey. Anyway, guys, today we're going to be talking about Half-Life Alyx VR and why I think it's disappointing, why I think it's overhyped, and why I think it's not the best VR game ever made. And I can list several better VR games and just talk about the whole controversy around this game and the gaming industry with, overhyped reviews and basically, stuff where they, it's kind of similar with The Last of Us 2, where they say it's an amazing game, and all these, big gaming journalists like IGN and stuff like that, they say that, wow, this is the best game ever. The Last of Us 2, what an amazing piece of art, even though most people think it's complete trash and the story's terrible, the characters are half-baked and underdeveloped, and the game mechanics haven't really improved since the last generation. Well, Half-Life Alyx is the same when it comes to VR gaming. Now, I've finally played Half-Life Alyx, so I'm not just going off on, a half-baked rant, talking about Half-Life Alyx and, never actually playing it. No, I've played it now, and I can safely say that it's not the best VR game ever made. In fact, I was really disappointed with it, and I've seen on YouTube so many times with, these huge, massive reviews saying Half-Life Alyx is the best thing to ever, come out of VR. It's revolutionary, guys. It's amazing. It's gonna make you feel like you're really a woman, and you can really feel her magical powers, even though you just got floating hands and no body, and the mechanics are pretty much stolen from other much better games like Boneworks. Okay, now I talked about before in my other video about Boneworks and how I think it's the best VR game ever. Now, first, let me just say this. If you're new to VR, and if you're prone to motion sickness, okay, then you shouldn't be playing VR anyway, because if you're prone to motion sickness, you're not going to enjoy VR where it is currently with technology, okay, because it's always going to make you feel sick. Now, for newcomers to VR, okay, and you want to give it a try, and you want to get over your motion sickness, well, yes, Half-Life Alyx will, it's the best, AAA experience for newcomers, because you can teleport, it's all very slow paced, it's all very very easily to get into, like you just flick stuff with your wrist. You have these gravity gloves, okay, just like in Half-Life, the original one, where you get the gravity gun. Instead you have gravity gloves, and that's a really cool feature, and you can just pick up stuff really far away. But guys, this isn't a great game. I don't understand why everyone loves it so much. Now, let me just say, yes, it is great for newcomers, and yes, this is one of the best AAA games out there for VR. I'm not saying it's the worst game ever, I'm not saying it's a bad game, but Half-Life Alyx is definitely overrated. Half-Life Alyx is definitely not the best VR game, and to be honest, I don't really like Half-Life Alyx just as a game in general, because there's enough VR titles out there that you can enjoy, that you can find and you can enjoy. And, to be honest, Half-Life Alyx, for me, the story and everything like that, it wasn't enough to keep me interested. The universe wasn't enough to keep me interested, and I'm a fan of Half-Life, so that doesn't really make too much sense. So I'm going to tell you the reasons why I think Half-Life Alyx is overrated, and why, in some ways, I think Half-Life Alyx sucks, and it's not that good of a game. And I know I'm gonna get harpooned for this and people aren't gonna agree with me, but just hear my points first and then decide your own opinion, okay? So first of all, if you've actually played Half-Life Alyx, then fair enough, you can like it. And if you're new to VR and you're prone to motion sickness and you like something, that kind of hold your hands and, kind of guides you through the world, and you don't have to do too much thinking yourself, and things are basically really user friendly, okay? That's Half-Life Alyx. It's very user friendly because, like I said, nothing has real weight to it. You can just pick up stuff from miles away. You can teleport. You don't have to actually use your body or, bend down really low to climb over something or use much effort to try and break something like you would in Boneworks. So yes, I understand it's a user-friendly game. It's a story. It's set in a already established universe. It's made by a great gaming company, Valve. There's a lot of things going for it, and that's why people love it so much, especially if you're a huge fan of Half-Life. And you can enjoy it, okay? I'm not having a go at you. You can enjoy whatever you want, but for me, it's definitely not revolutionary, and I don't like the fact that people are praising it, saying it's the best VR game, when it definitely isn't, in my opinion. Boneworks is definitely the best VR game, which I've talked about before, and I will link that at the end of this video. So first, let me just say why I don't like this game, okay? So, first of all, I don't like the way that it holds your hand, and basically tells you pretty much everything that you need to do, unlike, there's tons of VR games out there like Blade and Sorcery, Boneworks, Windlands, there's tons of games where it gives you a lot of freedom, and Half-Life Alyx is basically always holding your hand. And like I said, that's fine if you're new to VR, but if you have been playing VR for quite a while, then, Half-Life Alyx brings nothing new, and I hate the way people are saying that it's so groundbreaking and so revolutionary and it's gonna change VR forever, and I honestly thought that when I saw the gameplay of it, but when I've actually played it, it feels like it's missing something. It feels hollow, okay? It doesn't feel immersive, okay? And for me, easy gameplay but without immersion is pointless when it comes to VR. I would rather a more broken system, but it's way more immersive. For example, Boneworks, where you have a full body and it's, tracking your full body. You actually have to use real momentum, and everything has its own physics and gravity, and you have, you actually have to use your effort and your whole body to navigate the environment. And I understand that's very disorientating for some people, because some things don't always match up. But when it comes to VR gaming, it should be about immersion, not just, fun gameplay. And I know that sounds weird, but trust me, when you're inside of virtual reality, you'll know that having a pure immersion inside of a game is way more important than, quirky little game designs, okay? Now, that's not to say that it can't be immersive and fun, because Boneworks, for example, is both of those things. It's so immersive that you sometimes even forget that you're playing a game. With Half-Life Alyx, I never once forgot that I was just some douchebag standing around with a massive corporate box on my head, okay? It doesn't give you real freedom, okay? You can't just pick up anything, you can't move around bodies, everything is kind of static, and it gives you the illusion that you can do things, but you actually can't do those things that you would able to do in real life. And VR should always be about something that you can do in real life and then some, cool magical powers and whatever you want to do. But first it should cover the basics of feeling like you're actually in the world, and Half-Life Alyx doesn't feel like that in my opinion, okay? So that's my first point. Now the second point of why I think Half-Life Alyx is overrated and sucks and is pretty much not that much of an interesting game, or definitely not a compelling next revolutionary next gen VR game, which so many people are saying that it is simply the story and the writing and the characters, okay? Now, Half-Life has always been a very jokey kind of game, it never takes itself too seriously, and I like that, but oh my god, the characters in this game are so one-dimensional and so boring to me. And Russell, the guy who speaks in your ear 24/7, he never lets up with these cringy jokes. It reminds me of, the Disney Star Wars movies, where it's just joke after joke, and it never gives you time to kind of soak in the atmosphere, because it's alleviated with these goddamn terrible jokes. And the actor who plays Russell, I really like. I love the stuff that he's in, so I thought, hey, I would really like this. I would really like character. But as soon as you start playing the game, you realize just how annoying he is and how constant these annoying terrible jokes are. And Alyx, the character you play as, is a real just one-dimensional boring person, and you never feel like you're inhabiting this character. You feel you're kind of just watching her. Like I said, because you don't have a body, you just got these floating hands. You play as someone who's already voiced, and I understand that's pretty cool and it can be done well, but in this it just feels like you're completely separated from the character you're playing as, and that really just destroys the whole point of virtual reality, in my opinion. Now, the gameplay, okay, that's my third point. Now, yes, everything in this world, let me just give it a few props, okay, is so amazingly detailed. Everything looks truly amazing, okay, sometimes the environments and all that kind of stuff, and the detail in this world is so amazing in this VR game. Bottles actually have liquids inside of them, and to be honest, I enjoy just messing around in the world more than I do actually playing the game. Which is not a good thing, because yes, it's so fun to smash bottles and look at all the moist 3D liquids, because if you're a real man, you're gonna love 3D liquids like I do. That's all very cool, but the actual gameplay itself is so tedious, and the biggest problem with it is it's so easy, okay? All the enemies feel like they're so obviously programmed. The AI is pretty much non-existent. Everything has this weird pattern to it, where it's so obvious that these face huggers and stuff like that, they just jump at you and you can easily avoid them. It's completely opposite to the head crabs inside of Boneworks, which are far more scary and far more dangerous, where they actually latch onto your head and you've got to take them off, and they just jump at you from all kinds of angles and unexpectedly. It's like everything goes into slow motion, and it's just so clear and obvious, and it's so boring and predictable, and it's so goddamn easy. Now, I like everything in this game, visually, it's amazing to look at, and all these weird little aliens you come across and stuff like that. That's really cool, but the actual gameplay for me is so goddamn boring, and it's not scary, okay? It's not scary whatsoever, and not once did I feel this game was scary, even when you're in the dark, okay? It never has that creepy atmosphere that, it should have, because, like I said, all these characters are always cracking wise-ass jokes, which are usually just terrible. And I just really think that people are so overhyped about this game simply because it's a branded title, simply because it's a well-known IP. And that's the problem with games and, movies these days. You can have something and call it Star Wars, and everyone's gonna love it because it's already existing in that universe and people already know about it. And then you're going to get the mainstream media and the mainstream journalists all hyped up over it because you pay them well and all that kind of stuff. This game has just been blown out of proportion so massively. Yes, it's fun. Yes, I would recommend it. But no, it's not the best VR game. No, it's not revolutionary. And to be honest, I don't think it's actually really an amazing VR game or a good game in general. Yes, it's fun to play, don't get me wrong, but it's not amazing. It's definitely not one of the best VR games ever. It's definitely not one of the best games ever. If you took away the VR element of this game, it would be so bad and so boring. It's so slowly paced, and after a while you don't even want to take your time and look around the world. You just want to get through the levels, and it's just so badly designed and paced, and the writing and the characters to me just are super tedious. I love the detail. I love just enjoying the world to begin with, and smashing stuff, and the combat can be quite satisfying, but to make the combat truly good, you need to have way more enemies. You need to make it way more difficult. You need to have more diversity when it comes to enemies, and more interesting gameplay mechanics. And the lack of physics and the lack of real immersion, unlike some games like Blade and Sorcery, like Boneworks, to me really lets it down. If this is your first ever VR game and you play it, you're gonna be blown away. But honestly, this is not the best VR game out there, and to be honest, I don't think Half-Life Alyx is an amazing, or Half-Life Alyx is a good game. So yeah, that's just my little rant and review, because I was hearing so much about this, and I sadly got caught up in it, and I thought, no, this must be really amazing. But actually, guys, it just feels like you're playing a floaty simulator. It doesn't feel like you're playing a real VR game because, like I say, they strip away so many amazing elements of, some amazing VR games just because they want it to be user-friendly. And to me, that really draws, so much, it just muddles the water so much, because VR to me should be all about immersion, and this, lacks a lot of immersion, and the writing and the characters to me just aren't that interesting. And yeah, it's not a bad game, but it's definitely not amazing. And that's just my little opinion on Half-Life Alyx. I just wanted to share my thoughts, and I don't care if people are angry, really, because you can like whatever game you like. But I think my points are pretty valid, and if you have played the other games I've talked about, you'll know exactly what I mean and see why Half-Life Alyx isn't great. And I'm not disputing the fact that yes, it's great for people who are new, and it's great for people who have motion sickness or who are not used to VR. Yes, it's probably the best game out there for people who aren't used to VR, or to make it user-friendly and easily accessible. But I'm talking about just quality VR games and people who make VR games. Okay, anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Have yourselves a blessed day. Check out the music, check out the links down in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.